Welcome to episode 72 of Drew's Sports Crew. A nice rhyme there. And look, I have on with me Robert Shimek. Yes, Robert Shimek is back. And if he's here, you know what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about some WIAA, so some EWC stuff here, but mostly, it's more broad because we want to look at what happened during that June 22nd WIAA meeting. We'll be talking about that in this episode, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Robert Shimek is here with me, us two here. And Robert, how are you doing on this Monday morning?
It's been good. Haven't been on the show for a while, but let's get to it.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. And yeah, let's get to it is right. And let's go into it. Yeah, like I said, we're going to be talking some quick Brewers here because it's always fun to do the Brewer Prediction Challenge with someone. And look, Robert's here to do it with me. And it was a great weekend here for the Milwaukee Brewers. I was at that Friday game, July 22nd, a 6-5 win in 13. Got my baseball cap. Got home at 1:30 in the morning. It was how long that game was, 5 hours or so. And yeah, I mean, it was a fun game. And 6-5, Brewers got the job done. That's what mattered the most. 9-4. Then they won on Saturday, and then a crazy game on Sunday. Wow, the 24th of July, right? Omar Narvaez bobblehead day, 10-9 win. That game was back and forth, high scoring, and it's one of those weird series, Robert. Friday to Monday is the 4-game set. So game 4 is today of the series. And to go through the schedule here then for the Brewer Prediction Challenge, Robert, Rockies, and Brewers square off today, 7:10 p.m. to wrap up the series. 2-game series then against the Twins as they played then 2 weeks before. This one then at American Family Field. I'll be at the Tuesday game at 7:10 against the Twins. And then Wednesday, 1:10 is that game. And it's Kids and Seniors Discount Day. And then they have an off day Thursday and a rare trip to Fenway for the Milwaukee Brewers. They got a 3-game set, 6:10 on Friday, 3:10 on Saturday, and 12:35 on Sunday. Robert, you are the guest, and I'm going to make you go first is how this works. So out of these 6 games, how will the Milwaukee Brewers perform this week?
Well, I think last time we did this, I got lucky. I think I got the record right, but
you did, yes. I've been losing some against the guests.
So yes, you said we have the Rockies tomorrow. I think they'll win that. Twins, that 2-game set you said?
Yep.
Twins are always, I feel like, I don't know, Twins, we always never like sweep. I don't know, maybe not, but I feel like of late, that series and, with Josh Hader, and I think we'll split with them. And then we got the Red Sox, you said?
Yep, Red Sox, the 3-game set, Friday through Sunday.
Oh, the Red Sox have been struggling. I mean, the Yankees beat up on them twice, and then the Blue Jays or whoever.
Blue Jays just
28 runs.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were going for the record.
I did too. That was awesome. That was on Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll take 2 out of 3 from them. I would love to say we're going to sweep them, as I'm not a big Boston sports guy. That would be nice to see. But, yeah, I think Brewers are just a better team, playing better ball right now, even though before the All-Star break, we kind of had some games we let go. But, yeah, so what would that – I think that would 4-2. I'll go 4-2.
4-2 is what you got. Look, I'm going 5-1. I'm going to just take a step up. I like the Brewers the second half of the season now, which might sound crazy, but they were really limping into the break. Good news for them as the Cardinals go to Toronto, and we have word, no Nolan Arenado, no Paul Goldschmidt in that series. Brewers can make some more ground here. As the Reds, they did win the series this weekend for the Brewers. They did them a favor, and yeah, I mean, that was something. The big story for me, Aaron Ashby getting that signing. Did you see that? 5-year, $20 million. It was like 5-year, $20 million, I believe, was around the numbers. Absolute steal. I mean, it was kind of like a buy low kind of situation, as Ashby hasn't necessarily performed up to his standards as of late, but like at the same time, I mean, it's Aaron Ashby, his potential. I mean, the ceiling's through the roof. If you just watch him pitch, Pitchy Ninja calls it UFOs. Like he throws a UFO basically with that 2-seamer, and I mean, that's exactly what it looks like if you're looking at, right, a 5-year, $20.5 million extension is what it was. And believe there's some bonus stuff that can make it worth up to $40 million. But I was a big fan of signing. I said they won this signing. Brewers did excellent with this right away. Robert, what are your thoughts with this signing?
Yeah, I know. The Brewers, I think this kind of are just obviously they saw how our pitching, really played out in the last couple of years. And I just think, you remember all those teams in 2008, 2007, 2011, all those, really, really good teams. It just, you didn't have pitching for those and it's just like, I think I brought this up last time. A lot of people can, complain about the hitting, which I'm one of those people too. It's frustrating when you go to a game and they score 3 runs, 2 runs, but it's just like their pitching's just gonna. And when it gets to October, that's when it matters. You'd like to see them add a bat here coming up, as that really matters too. But yeah, I like to see that they're getting out in front, and hopefully their pitching stays near the top of the league here for a while.
That is what they need. And now, as much as I hate to say it, I think a Josh Hader trade in the offseason looks more likely than not now, especially with Devin Williams, how well he's still been performing. I think, and he's kind of slid in the closer role in games. Hader's not been available. So I think that's something we'll probably see in the future, which, it's just tough to say. But let's roll here, Robert. So that kind of wraps up. We want to keep the Brewer thing brief here as, we have you on. We got to talk some EWC stuff. And with that, we got to go kind of to the meeting. I mean, you're not going to hear right in this episode, we're not going to be just doing EWC football. So that's not what this episode's about. We want to be talking more about in this episode, specifically about the Board of Control having their meeting in June. And I think this is always great to talk about, as there were some recommendations brought forth then by the coaches advisory committees, is what the WIAA Twitter states. And we'll go through some of the changes that happened in some of the events. The first one I really want to talk about was in wrestling. So I want to talk about they approved eliminate the coaches meeting and rely on electronic seeding results for the team state tournament. And that was voted 10-0. So that was unanimous there for wrestling. Robert, I know we've talked a lot about electronic seeding, and the committee here, they approved it 10-0 to unanimously to have it for wrestling. What are your thoughts here in a sport like wrestling? Is that something that, EWC or even WIAA fans should be proud of?
Yeah, I think when you look at wrestling and you look at basketball, football, I think it's apples and oranges. It's a little different. You're not going to – it's more what – was it just to make clear, is that individual or team or both?
This is for the team state tournament is what I'm reading here.
Okay. Yeah, so I think you saw your footballs and your basketballs, and I don't know if it was completely to blame on COVID, but it'll be interesting to see, just because I don't know. We've had this discussion too. I was impressed by the basketball, especially. Football.
It was terrible.
It's a lot tougher to. The computers kind of always had that formula in football, so I guess you got to throw that one out. But yeah, basketball just didn't look good there, and obviously, like wrestling, I know the divisions are different. They only got, I think, 3 divisions, if I'm correct there. So I think it's obviously a little different, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely think they just can't say, okay, this is just what we're doing now and you get what you get, whatever. Like something, there has to be like some human like sense into it. Like, okay, this is what the computer fed out. Maybe that's your ranking. And then you can, coaches go on a Zoom call and you can appeal your ranking of that. And I think that would be kind of an interesting way to do it. I know that would, but like, I don't know. I think that'd cut down on the meeting time, but yeah, I'd be interested to see how the computer, like for all sports, just kind of does here in the next couple of years. And if it just stays the same.
I'm right with you. This is something completely new too. I mean, just looking at it, the computer sees for like sports like basketball and right now with wrestling, I guess this is something I think it just needs to be observed. Just people need to be watching this to ensure results. And then I do think there should be some sort of, maybe not appeal, probably some sort of meeting, right, to just check over and to ensure the results are, they're adequate. And another thing here in the wrestling, what happened was the girls' state tournament with the current individual wrestling state tournament will be combined at the Kohl Center in 2022 to 2023 with a 16-person bracket and a qualifying process. That was unanimous as well. So the girls' wrestling individual state tournament is heading to the Kohl Center. So that's some great news there. And that, wrestling, there was not much that happened there in that sport, but looking through it, there's only one thing in gymnastics as well. They returned to the format prior to the Capital Cup, where team competition occurs on Friday for both Division I, Division II, and individual competition occurs on Saturday. And that's both for D1 and D2 as well. Unanimous here. Let's go to basketball. Did you know there was an appeal process for the 3-point contest before 3-point challenge?
I don't. What were they?
I don't know. I did not know that, but it was eliminated on a unanimous vote. A lot of these are. I think all of these are 10-0. So I think they're all unanimous basically. But, yeah. I mean, the appeal process. I did not know that there was one, but it now has been eliminated. So
I did see that. Now that you say that, yeah.
And then going through it here, conference realignment. This is another one. There's some miscellaneous things here in the meeting to talk about for future reference. Conferences cannot be created with less than 7 schools unless they are paired with another, except with 100% agreement through the fast track process. So a little wordy here with the ruling, but basically just looking at, they don't want new conferences to be created with less schools to ensure just basically the conferences have a balanced amount. We see most conferences having like 8 to 10 schools, I'd say, some having more, some not. But yeah, I mean, that just a brief thing here. But Robert, what I really wanted to talk about today was there were items that were they did not advance to this board of control that was in the meeting after being denied by the advisory council, but they were discussed. I mean, to keep in mind, they just were not voted on. So these are things I really want to talk about here. We'll just go to the big one here. The basketball was the big one, and we'll talk about these before we talk about some of the things that got passed. So what was going to be talked about was this. About the possibility of releasing electronic seating 2 times a year, but it was denied by the advisory council. All the things I'm going to be reading here. So just to start with that one, Robert, 2 times a year, if you're going to electronic seed, we could maybe see one around Christmas time. That'd be pretty cool to kind of know where teams are at. I actually really, I'm all for this. I guess I'm not sure why it was denied by the advisory council, but I mean, what are your thoughts here about electronic seating being released 2 times a year to kind of show where teams are at?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, obviously, I don't think it would be a bad thing. Like, I'm trying to think of like cons to that. Like, I mean, I don't really think there would be any cons to it. Obviously, you don't play your full schedule, so you look at like a team that's 12-0 and just maybe had an easier schedule and their later games are harder. But I mean, I guess if that doesn't matter, it's just showing where teams are at. And, you got, say your 1 and 2 teams have yet to play and they're in the same sectional, and one seated or regional, one seated higher, one seated lower. You know what I mean? It's just, you can kind of see where you're at, so that the game is really worth a lot. But yeah, that's really interesting, because it's just like, I feel like that would be something where, like, if, there were a lot of like interesting seeding, if there were like interesting seedings like halfway through the year, where, there's clearly better teams ranked lower than teams that they're better than. I don't know. I feel like people could kind of get upset, like, oh, well, what the heck? Why is it like, I don't know. That's
my best guess. See.
But I don't know. I feel like, I guess the only con would be like the WIAA could make themselves maybe look bad if there's a bad seed. But I don't know if we're not gonna think of that, if we're not gonna really care about that, I think it's fine. Yeah,
I certainly think this is something we'll see in the future. I mean, to be honest, I think we'll see this get passed in the future, just not this year. Here's another one: use of the shot clock in non-conference games if coaches agree. This was, again, another one denied by the advisory council. So this one is interesting to me. So the keywords, if coaches agree, and non-con are the main things I'm looking at. So little shocked to see, again, this not get approved at the end of the day. You know, if you play a game with a shot clock and then you go back to, let's say, a conference game, a big game without one, there's some influence there, and that might not be the best. You know, I can understand the consistency aspect, right? You know, if you're going to be playing one game with the shot clock, you should be playing all of them, maybe. But like, you know, in terms of rhythm and such, I think maybe it's the right move to not have this approved in this way. But certainly the shot clock in high school, at least, is something, you know, certainly it's been talked about in the future, and who knows if it'll ever happen. But, you know, Robert, what's your stance with this one here?
Well, I would think by 2030, the shot clock will be like 2030. It will be here because they already, you know, like 2020, they were going to have it. And then it kind of got, you know, denied. Now they're rumblings of that. I don't know. If you have a clock above your basket and you want to play with it, whatever, go ahead. But it's just like, it seems like just kind of a useless thing to, you know, sit and waste time debating. Like, make a decision. Either you're getting it in, you know, 3 to 4 years, say, okay, 2025, 2026, that's our first year we're doing it. You plan ahead or whatever, or it's just like, we don't have it. I'm not a huge, like, we need the shot clock. I would like to see a shot clock. I wouldn't think it'd be horrible, but I don't think it's like adamant that high school sports needs a shot, like basketball in Wisconsin needs a shot clock. I know there's a lot of states that have it, and, you know, maybe their game are faster paced, better games. Obviously, you know, you don't want stalling, you don't want this, but it's just like, it's just kind of part of the game. Like, you go play full court defense on them. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And I think the WIA is just kind of like stuck right now because they kind of feel the same way. There's so many logistical things, obviously, it was brought up about it. So since they don't want to jump into it too quick, they want to make sure it's the best case scenario for everybody. But, you know, I guess that it's kind of a stepping stone. If they're going to approve this, then obviously it's coming. I mean, you're not going to approve it and just have this for a while and just not come back to having it for everyone. So obviously, I would think a lot of the D1 schools, like Kimberly has one, Manitowoc has one. A lot of those schools, like, you know, where they already have them on their baskets, you'd see those schools starting with them, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right with you. I think I like how you threw 2030 out. You know, there was talks. I know you mentioned 2020, but even like 2021, then it was the talk. Like it was like the talk was like when we were in high school, right? I mean, it was something that had the chance of happening, and some cases people are pointing to it being likely to happen, and still has not. So it's something we're just gonna have to wait and see. And each year we're gonna have to keep looking into it, but. Other things they talked about, but again, they were denied, was tournament groupings, the officials' pregame protocol, and then they mentioned counting tournaments. But I want to mention there was something that was approved involving the tournament as for basketball. Now, a tournament is defined as any event that is bracketed and plays to a winner. And that was proof 10 to nothing. I'm not sure what the prior definition was, but there definitely was some rewording in here to ensure, you know, things were being counted as tournaments that maybe in the past were not be. But looking through it, Robert, is there anything you know on that subject?
I think like a couple of years ago, I saw it was something like a tournament was defined when there was games in a winner, like a declared winner. So like obviously, you know, the shootout at the Crest Center, Concordia, like those aren't considered tournaments because there's no winner. But I think like the prior thing was like whatever, what if there's a winner, it's a tournament. If it's not, it's not. So I'm guessing that's what it is. But I mean, there's not too many. I mean, there obviously are quite a few. Like I know like Sheboygan North has one. A couple other schools like around the area have some like small ones. Like you play 2 games. It's just a 4-team, whatever. Winner plays winner, losers play loser. But it's just like I don't understand the big deal about you can only play in so many of those. It's just like they're games. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's something, and I mean we have to mention the basketball ones. That kind of wraps up there the meeting part of the WIAA stuff. I mean, there's not like huge things. I remember in 2020 that was the big thing with COVID. There were thousands of people. I mean, like every team, people in the state of Wisconsin who are involved in high school sports were following it as. I mean, they were laying down all the COVID guidelines and protocols, but I mean, this year there's some big news, and the big stories mainly were like things that were potentially being considered, and we'll have to wait and see on those. And we're really also waiting, basketball then for next year, looking at how the state tournament's going to be. Are they going to, move stuff around? And that's still been a hot topic, Robert, as you know. So, I mean, with that, do you have anything else there with the basketball stuff?
I've been a big thing like you just brought up. I have like 2 things I kind of want to quickly mention. Like the whole, I know they proposed like I think it was like Travis Wilson or Mark Mill. Like they've been kind of like, oh, these are possible scenarios that could happen. Like, 61 teams, all this. And it's just like, I think, revenue wise, it would obviously be way better. Like, because D5, it's just a lot of the same teams. It's not as hard to get to state, maybe in some sectionals. And it's just, that morning session's pretty quiet usually. So I think if you have more D1 teams and you just move, a part of D2 into D1, you obviously get a lot of better matchups. But I think 2 other things that need to be done. Sectionals have to be seeded. I just think I don't understand why, like a couple years back, you had Brookfield Central and Sussex Hamilton, your best 2 teams playing in a sectional final. Just that's, you travel, you might have to travel a little more, but I just think it's definitely worth it. And then the other thing is this one, I don't anticipate it really ever coming, but I definitely think a charge circle is necessary because I think with officials nowadays, it's so easy to just, run it down to the other end. That's a charge. It's kind of getting out of control, I think, a little bit. But so I just think, especially like in high school, you have, your guys out there to play defense. They're in there to take charges, and teams are really good at taking charges. A lot of times they're just bad calls. And I just think a charge circle is just easy. You can't stand under the net and wait for just fall down or whatever. So those are just a couple thoughts I had. But I think overall, I wouldn't change too much.
Yeah, the charge thing was something we've talked about here on this very podcast. I mean, we've mentioned our EWC episodes. Like, I mean, WIA, this has been a problem, especially competition over time. I mean, we've seen more and more teams having players who can dunk, players. We've seen more aggressive play styles, and with that, I mean, there needs to be some sort of even with defense too. I mean, we've seen just the whole charge and block thing just being kind of blown out of proportion here, and hopefully that can be, like you mentioned, the charge circle is one great way to kind of prevent that. And I guess with that, Robert's here. We're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to mention some brief stuff in football. I was recently introduced to AG1, and wow, if you're someone like me who hates taking pills and vitamins, wants more energy, and wants a more optimized immune system, let me tell you why this is the perfect supplement for you. So what is this stuff, you may ask? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's all those things. And look, this is the perfect thing to start your morning routine, start your day off right with just one scoop of AG1 with some water. And let's talk about AG1. What makes it so great, you may ask? It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, right? And it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. And let's talk about the price, right? You might be asking about that. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance, and with that, that's going to save you money, right? It costs you less than $3 a day while you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than that cold brew habit, which I do have. I do love my coffee, but talk about what the founder did here. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutritional routine on your own, and I can attest to that. It is extremely difficult on a day-by-day basis. Athletic Greens, they also have over 7,000 5-star reviews, so you are getting the best when it comes to Athletic Greens. And also, they're a climate-neutral certified company, so they care about the environment. And for every purchase, they donate to organizations helping to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. And right now, it is just time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Look, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 year supply free of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/emerging. athleticgreens.com/emerging. EMERGING. And that is to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So let's go through these football games here. We're just going through week 1 is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to go through the non-conference games in the EWC for week 1. And we're just going to, I want to hear Robert's favorite game. We won't be going through players or rosters or any previews, like I said in this episode. That'll be coming out at a later date. But August 18th at 7 o'clock is your first game. That's a Thursday night. You got Chilton and Crivets squaring off on a Thursday night to kick off the high school football season, regular season, I should add. And then on that Friday, we got the non-con games here. Campbellsport visiting New Holstein, and then Kiel travels to Kewanee. Kohler, Sheboygan Lutheran, Sheboygan Christian goes to Howard's Grove. Manitowoc Lutheran goes to Roncalli. Omro goes to Valders. Random Lake travels to Two Rivers, and then Hilbert and Brilliant, the classic rivalry there then to round it off. Robert, which one of these games is your favorite?
Well, obviously I'm from Brilliant. Hilbert Brilliant's always kind of you can literally see trees from Hilbert in Brilliant. So that's always a big, really, really big rivalry dating back a while. But I think the best game is probably interesting to see will be Manitowoc Lutheran Roncalli. I mean, that's an inner city game. Two ball clubs there that probably, maybe are pretty comparable to each other. I think that'll be a good game. I think that's your best game week 1. I'm looking at these other schools. Maybe there's some, maybe better matchups or some better teams, but no teams are in the same town. Then they're, they know each other as well as those two teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna say best game. I think most competitive game will be Roncalli Manitowoc Lutheran. I am intrigued to see. I just want to see how Two Rivers comes out to start the year because expectations are high, and they got Random Lake. So I want to see how they come out. Also want to see how KLC handles Howard's Grove. Those are probably my stories. How is KLC gonna, answer, in a almost like a retooling year, right? I mean, you lose that huge senior class, very talented senior class to add, and it's gonna be certainly a different. It's gonna be look like a lot different team there, but look, they got Howard's Grove, and I think those 3 games right there are going to be like, we're going to have a lot of questions answered right away in those kind of games. But that's just to kind of preview with our football talk, because we'll be going through a full EWC football preview as always here. on the show. And yeah, Robert, if do you have anything else today here before we wrap up?
Not really. Yeah, just to speak to, I mean, obviously, I agree with you. Like KLC and Brilliant and those two teams kind of were top two last year, and I think both of those teams lost a ton. I think even KLC will be very, very, very difficult to judge opening the year. But yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah, I like those games too. So yeah, no, nothing really else. I think we hit a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm right with you. And, check out at EWC_sports, right? I mean, that's going to be where you'll find, weekly matchups, all that great stuff there on that site or on that page. And of course, the podcast page as well at Drew Sports Crew here on the Instagram and Twitter, and then Drew's Sports Crew on the Facebook and YouTube. No trivia today, Robert. Looking for our football one. I think I'm going to bring some out. Maybe back in your playing days, I might have to throw them in there.
Not many stats to look at there, so you won't have to worry.
Well, I'll find something and I'll bring it I'll bring it along, and we'll see how it goes. Keep in mind, live show for Journey to a Million, August 12th at Pet Skull Brewing in Manitowoc. That's a Friday night, and that is then at 7 p.m. it starts. And look, it's going to be a fantasy football show plus a Packer preview in it. Plus, I mean, wonderful food. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So go check that out as well. That's on the Instagram. So that'll wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, and Robert Shimek. So thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.